Let us have one example on residential status. Malcolm Marshall is a foreign citizen, not being a person of Indian origin. Let us determine his residential status for the assessment year 2019-20 on the assumption that during the financial years 2004-5 to 2018-19, he was present in India as shown in the table. We are to determine the residential status of Mr. Malcolm Marshall. The relevant assessment year is 2019-20, so the previous year will be just before that, 2018-19. We are to calculate the stay of Malcolm Marshall during the previous year, that is 2018-19, and which is given in the question as 87 days. So thus, he is not satisfying basic condition number 1, that is the stay of 182 days, but as his stay is more than 60 days and he is not an Indian citizen, neither a person of Indian origin, as such we are to calculate his stay during 4 years preceding the previous year. We say when we add up his stay during 2017-18, 16-17, 15-16, 14-15, that is the 4 years preceding the previous year, we find that his total stay during the year is 651 days. Thus, he satisfied condition number 2 of basic condition as specified under section 6 subsection 1 of the Act. Thus, Malcolm Marshall is resident in India for the assessment year 2019-20. A resident individual may be an ordinary resident or not ordinary resident. To determine this, we are to find out his stay during 7 years preceding the previous year and his residential status during 10 years preceding the previous year. If we plot the days of stay during 7 years preceding the previous year, since 2011-12 till 2017-18, the total gives us as stay of 1196 days. That is, his stay during 7 years is 1196 days, which is more than 730 days as required under additional condition specified in section 6 subsection 6. Now, as he satisfies one conditions of the section 6 subsection 6, we have to see the other condition which says about the residential status. Now, this chart shows about the residential status. If we come from backward, that is just preceding the previous year, that is 2017-18, he is resident in India because he stayed for a period of 281 days. That is, he satisfies 182 days or more, and that's why he is resident in India. In 16-17, he stays 86 days, so thus he is not satisfying condition number 1 of 182 days, but we have to see his stay during the 4 years preceding the previous year, that is, his stay during 2015-16, 14-15, 13-14, 12-13. If we add up, we see that his stay is more than 365 days. And that's why he is satisfying condition number 2 during the financial year 16-17. In such way, we have seen his residential status for the year 14-15, 13-14, 12-13, 11-12, 10-11. In the year 10-11, his stay is only 31 days. Thus, he is not satisfying any of the basic conditions, so his status will be non-resident. But in 2009-10 and 2008-9, his stay is sufficient for being a resident in India. In 2009-10, he is resident in 341 days, so he satisfies condition number 1. And in 8-9, though his stay is less than 182 days, but his stay during the preceding 4 years, that is 2007-8, 6-7, 5-6, 4-5, exceeds 365 days, so he satisfies condition number 2. So if we see the table, we'll find that he is non-resident only in 1 year, that is, he is resident in 9 years out of 10 years preceding the previous year, where the requirement is only 2 years out of 10 years under section 6 subsection 6. Thus, he satisfies both the additional conditions as laid down under section 6 subsection 6 and one of the basic conditions under section 6 subsection 1 of the Act. Thus, the residential status of Malcolm Marshall for the assessment year 2019-20 is resident and ordinarily resident in India. I think it is a comprehensive example which gives a thorough idea about the residential status of an individual. I am grateful to Dr. Binod K. Singhania and Dr. Kapil Singhania because the idea of this problem has been taken from their book Direct Access Law and Practice, published by Taxman's Publications.
So mind it, an individual must satisfy both the additional condition. In other words, it means if an individual does not satisfy any one of the above conditions, in that case his status will be resident but not ordinarily resident in India. In case of HUF, the rule is almost same but with a bit difference. An HUF will be resident in India if the control and management of its affairs is situated wholly or partly in India. An HUF will be non-resident if the control and management of the affairs is situated wholly outside India. In that case only it will become non-resident HUF. A resident HUF may be ordinary resident or not ordinary resident. If the HUF is resident, then the status of the Karta determines whether it is resident and ordinary resident or resident but not ordinary resident. If the Karta is resident and ordinary resident, then the HUF is resident and ordinary resident. If the Karta is resident but not ordinary resident, then the HUF is resident but not ordinarily resident in India. The Karta must satisfy both the additional condition as specified under section 6 for resident and ordinary resident.